Hello everybody, it's Mike here at Game From Scratch, and a couple of days back I mentioned that Epic Games was launching their own online game store, and surprisingly enough, it is now live. It is a very nascent version, very early on, embryonic version of what the store is going to be, so don't have huge expectations, but they are now live and selling games, and even cooler, they're also giving away games, which is something I didn't actually know about. Additionally, we have a few more details available about the store, about the affiliate program attached to it, so I figured I would run down all of those things. Take a look at the existing store as it stands and some of the new details that are available. Now, if you've not heard of this already, the cool thing about this store, and I've done a video on it, I will link that down below along with all the other links, is that it is very developer friendly. They are going with a flat rate 88/12 royalty rate. So basically, the developers make 88% of earnings, which is pretty staggering. When you look at most other app stores, it's generally 70/30 or worse. So great thing for developers here, great opportunity. Now the question is, will the store take off? Well, let's take a look at it as it stands today. Now, once again, this is a very early version of the store, but here you can see it, and here you can see the kind of games that are available on it. Now, one thing you might find very interesting is this top little bar right up here. So right now or at least coming up, so it's from December the 14th, so in a week from now, you can get Subnautica completely free. And then from December the 28th to the next month, January, January the 10th, you can get Super Meat Boy completely for free. So what you can see up here is Epic Games Store and our partners team up to give you a free game every 2 weeks. So that's pretty sweet. You're going to be able to keep coming back to the store and download a free game. You're seeing from small indie or older indie to fairly new indie. So that's a cool thing to see, that you're going to be able to get free games from this service as well. And then you can take a look at the kind of games that are on here. And I noticed there's a bit of a theme. This seems to be AAA Indie, if that makes any sense. The big guys, like Supergiant Games, are the ones that are here. So they're really going for that higher end or higher sales volume indie titles to start. So you see here we got Hades Early Access, Ashen, Hello Neighbor, Hide and Seek, Fortnite, of course, Subnautica, Darksiders 3. So there are some AAA is probably too big of a word, but definitely Darksiders 3 is a large title. These are all under the coming soon category. Satisfactory, Rebel Galaxy, Outwilds, Journey, Maneater, Super Meat Boy Forever, World War Z, Genesis Alpha 1, and Shadow Complex, which is actually an epic game. And then you can see they've got a number of mod editor tools available on here as well. So it's not an earth-shattering back catalog right now. They don't have a bunch of the AAA developers on board or anything like that yet. And they do seem to definitely be focusing on indies, and I think that's pretty solid, actually. Indies and A-style titles. I do think you will start seeing other larger developers coming on board or other publishers coming on board in time, but it's interesting to see what the initial lineup is. Now, this is a very underwhelming size store when you compare it to Steam or Good Old Games or whatever, but literally this is just the beginning. It's also cool to see that every 2 weeks you can get a free game out of this, so even just for that alone, it's worth checking out. So let's head on, oops, I'm using the wrong thing. Let's head on over and take a look at some of the details here. So we've got a little bit more information going on. Here, obviously, you can see what the Unity, the big selling point for developers, again, is that 88/12 split, which is huge. And again, if you use Unreal Engine, they take their 5% royalty out of their 12%, so you make even more money, which is pretty awesome. Now, what you're seeing here is, will the Epic Store be an overnight success? This will be a long-term effort. Epic Games has been around for 27 years. We expect to invest in and grow the store for many years to come. So this is early. Give it some time, I think, is basically what they're trying to say. So what you see right here, how can I make Epic aware of my interest to put my game on the store? Complete and submit the form at the bottom of this page, or if you have an existing relationship with Epic through Unreal Engine licensing, reach out to your business contact. So there's going to be one of the biggest questions is, how do I get my game on the store? The answer is you use the form at the bottom of this page, unless, of course, you're already an Unreal Engine developer, and then you get a bit of an in there, which is kind of cool. And then the last thing here, the store is going to be open to the masses. I don't know what that means. This is kind of scaring me. For all developers, we are planning to open the store for all developers in the second half of 2019. I don't know if that means in the second half of 2019 that they're going to stop curating and it's just going to be like the Wild West, like so it's going to be just like the App Store or Steam or all, just absolutely full of garbage. I hope that's not what they mean, but that kind of sounds like that. At this point in time, they launched for PC and Mac support. Support for other platforms such as Android is coming later. Sorry, Linux users, you do not seem to be in the cards as of right now. You can build your game using whatever engine you want, but of course, right now, at least for that early access, it looks like you are going to get a little bit of preferential treatment if you are an existing Unreal Engine developer, which I guess makes sense. Where is it available? It's available to players in most countries in the world except for China, where prohibited by U.S. law, such as North Korea and Iran. Certain regions, such as South Korea, may have additional legal requirements that you need to implement in your game before distributing them here. Does it have regional pricing? Yes, it does. What currencies? We support local pricing in USD, Great British Pounds, Euro, Polish, sorry, Poles, I don't even know how to say that, the Russian ruble, South Korean won, Japanese yen, Turkish lira, and the Ukrainian, sorry, Ukrainians, I'm in the same boat on that one as well. Does the Epic Game Store have mandatory sales? No, well, we do plan to offer multi-game sales events. They are voluntary, so they're not going to force you to sell your title on the service, which is pretty sweet. And then this is going to be of interest more to the consumers than anything else. I'm a little confused. There's a little bit of vaguity here, but how do refunds work on Epic Game Store? We will offer 2, no questions asked, refunds per player within 2 weeks of the purchase. So does that sound like you get 2 lifetime or 2 every 2 weeks? Or do you, I don't know exactly what this goes. It looks like you can get a game refunded with no questions asked within 2 weeks of purchasing it, which is very liberal. It's that we will offer 2 refunds. Again, how often or in general? Because if it's not limited, that is going to be like really abused. There's a lot of games you can finish in 2 weeks and be done with and then just ask for a refund and then no questions asked, that's what they do. But if that's lifetime, well, you're not going to abuse that willy-nilly. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how that return policy works out. And let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. That one is kind of... I don't know, I can see how that could hurt the developers, and I can see how if it's limited to 2, it's going to really discourage people from trying experimental games, knowing that the refund possibility just isn't there for you. So I can see where they're being a little too liberal with the amount of time, and they're being a little too strict with just 2 titles if that is lifetime only. But I would love to know your opinion on their refund policy there. Of course, it's vague, so more detail is obviously going to come in the future. And what can you pay with? Well, the big ones here is you got credit card, PayPal, and then a whole bunch of regional methods you can see right here. And then if you again are interested in getting your game on the store, you submit it via this form right here. Let's see what engines they have. And again, what is this internal versus other? So it's internal like a house built engine, and other would be something like Godot or CryEngine or so on. I guess that's what that probably means. All right, so that is kind of the updated details on the store. The store itself isn't overwhelming. The terms and conditions of the store seem quite reasonable. The announcements kind of are filling in some of the blanks. I don't know when they open it up in 2019 if they're just opening the floodgates or are they going to remain curated. That, in my humble opinion, is the biggest predicator for success for the store. I hope they stay curated to a certain degree and they just don't open the floodgates, because then we're just going to end up with the exact scenario we have right now with Steam. On top of that, they've also got their Support a Creator program that is going along with this. Basically, Support a Creator program is another way of saying it's a affiliate program. So if you are a YouTuber such as myself and I cover games, I can actually link to the game and potentially make some money if you buy it off the store. However, in their particular case, fans declare their support for a creator by entering the creator's tag during the checkout flow or by clicking on a creator's link and completing a purchase on the Epic Game Store. I think this is one of the major things that is going to really set this store apart. This is one of those things that Steam never offered. They never offered an affiliate program. And the weird thing is now you have so many major influencers out there, you know, like Total Biscuit type, oops, that was a bad choice. Your Angry Gamer, your PewDiePies, etc., that if they link to a particular game, they could sell tens of thousands of copies of a particular game. And those influencers are probably becoming more important than just about any other marketing avenue out there. And now you're going to see where that person has a choice when, if they're covering a given game, if it happens to be on Steam and it's on the Epic store, well, which one would you link to? It's kind of a no-brainer here, right? You link to the one that you can actually get something back from, especially if you know already that particular store treats its developers very nicely and it treats its creators really nicely. So who is eligible to be creator? You have to have at least 1,000 followers on a major social platform. You complete the affiliate agreement and abide by our code of conduct, and capable of receiving payment in a form that Epic supports. So not a lot of requirements there. 1,000 Twitter followers or 1,000 YouTube followers or 1,000 Instagram followers or whatever, and you're good enough to get in. Now, there are, again, some catches. Once again, China is on the outs, as is Iran, North Korea, which is legally required by U.S. law. And that's about it. So pretty sweet. Pretty nice to see. And yeah, it's good all around. Now, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about the store from the developer side, as I mentioned earlier, I did a video on the Unreal Game Store when it was first announced, so I will link that down below as well. But a pretty big deal here. This store is now live. Again, it's a little lacking in content, and by a little lacking, it's incredibly lacking in content, but you have an idea of where we're coming from. You also have an idea of what an actual store page is going to look like. You're going to have almost like your own homepage that you can fully customize on their site. So you can have a lot more details of your game, a lot less cookie cutter, and a lot more presence here. So it'd be interesting to see. It's going to put a little bit more burden on individual developers to make their stuff look good, but it'll also give them the opportunity to really stand out on their store page. I'll be interested in seeing how fast they grow this. They're obviously launching with a very small range of titles because it's a soft launch as it stands, but I'm going to be interested to see how fast they ramp up their catalog. I imagine there's a virtual busload of people that are submitting their games to the service right now, so be interesting to see how fast they start onboarding these things. And again, I do have those questions of when they open the floodgates, are they opening the doors wide open? And that refund policy, I'm a little iffy on it, and I'd love to know what your opinion is there as well. All right, so that is the Unreal Game Store. It is now live with a very, very limited selection of games, but if you're interested, you can get Subnautica for free next week and Super Meat Boy for free 2 weeks after that, and then every 2 weeks thereafter, another free game as well. So if nothing else, hey, a couple free games. All right, hope you found that useful. Talk to you all later. Goodbye.